Of course, I'm live. Hey, everybody. This is Bo McBrayer and Conor Coughlin here for the 19th hole live on In Between Media. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the whole damn channel, jingle that bell for notifications. Having a little technical difficulty with the banners not going down. Wish I had that same problem. We're going to hit the drop and do the 19th hole. We're going to do the Farmers Insurance Open from La Jolla, California. Beautiful Southern California coast at Torrey Pines, north and south. We're hitting both courses. What do you think, Conor? Should we hit the drop?
Yeah, please. By all means, hit it.
In case the banners stay up for another 4 hours, you probably should contact a doctor.
I'm over here taking red pills, man. So
Connor's still under the weather. He sounds like shit. So I'm gonna do all the talking. I usually do anyway. You'll never get me to shut up. Conor, you look terrible. You sound terrible. But this is a great tournament. We have the Farmers Insurance Open from Torrey Pines. We have some things in the golf news. Let's talk about last week. Sepp Straka took over the American Express. He looked really good down there. We probably should have talked about him more last week, given that we were saying how much we wanted to favor golfers who were playing really well at that moment. He looked really good at the Sony, and wouldn't you know it, he looked really good at the American Express and ended up winning in a pretty easy, stress-free Sunday victory. What do you think about Sepp Straka winning the American Express? Not exactly out of left field. He's been playing really well.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that gives me fits, man. It's like even when he's playing well, I can't get him right, and it's hard for me to trust him. But to your point, he probably should have been somewhere in the bets. I mean, he was playing decent. I think a lot of the things we were looking for made sense with him. So yeah, not out of left field by any means, but it was just didn't make the card. So you take your losses.
All right, so we got a big show on tap. A lot of hearing from me, so we don't have to hear from gravelly old Coughlin here. Putting the cough in Coughlin.
Some people might think it's sexy. Okay, Bo.
I'll say it's sultry. If nobody had heard you before, they'd be like, "Who's this guy?" So let's hit the first real drop. News Niblick. It's a new segment that we have to cover the world of golf before we get right into the to the tournament at hand at Torrey Pines. This is called the News Niblick. Hit it straight there, Tiger. So, yeah, before we get into the news, let's remind everybody that Conor Coughlin does write for In Between Media. He's going to have his article out probably tomorrow. No, maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, well, because amongst my sickness, I forgot that this is one of the tournaments that they've moved up in honor of not interrupting football. Yep. So
this tournament starts tomorrow morning. So if you're watching this live, you might want to get a notepad or pull up your notepad app on your mobile device, and that way you can take notes and play our plays. We're still playing really well. I still cashed a couple placement bets last week. Thank you, Sepp Straka, winning the American Express. I did not have him on the card. Not a lot of people did. The ones that were pretty keen on playing somebody in good form recently, they had him on their card. The American Express is still a crapshoot. Like, that's the one thing about that tournament is you just never know who's going to come in and just light the place up. Sepp Straka, of course, is streaky as all get up. Like, this guy is either going to shoot the lights out or he's going to blow up on Friday and hit the nearest flight out of town red eye. back to Georgia. And the big Austrian, I mean, give him props. The dude was on fire, 64, 65, 65, and then a stress-free 2 under par 70 on Sunday. Nobody really close. He won by 2 shots. It was never in question. The dude had the pedal to the gas the whole tournament. And that mad props to Sepp Straka. We might have to pay closer attention to him going forward if he's going to keep playing like this, because he definitely has the talent for it. Until this until this last season where he won. What did he win last year? John Deere, or 2023 John Deere?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and then the 2023 Honda Classic where he chased down Shane Lowry in a rainstorm, which is pretty impressive in its own right. So third tour victory for Sepp Straka. Big guy's got game, so let's give him his props. And in very important golf news, the GOAT himself, Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, turns 85 years old today. Happy birthday, Golden Bear. Absolute fucking legend. We love Jack Nicklaus. The best, like if you talk Tiger Woods' career, what it could have been without all the injuries, Jack Nicklaus's longevity, winning in the 60s, 70s, and even the 86 Masters as an elder statesman. The dude is the dude. Like Tiger might be the most talented golfer of all time, but Jack is the GOAT.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I was supposed to be playing a Nick course on Saturday, but thanks to the ice storms in the southern part of the world, I will not be traveling until early next week now. So
yeah,
postponing my commemorative round to Mr. Nicklaus.
Our friend Cooter Doodle is down there in New Orleans, and she had snow for the first time in a long time down there in the bayou. And her little girl got to do snow angels in Louisiana. That's pretty impressive. I just told her, make sure you're not doing the snow angels in a dog park.
Well, the snow has postponed my infant child's first air travel to go see Grandma and Grandpa. So say a little prayer for me early next week for the flight with the child. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah, and this whole thing is going on. My wife is working in Puerto Rico right now, where it's no less than 72 degrees at night, and she's complaining about how hot and humid it is. And I was like, well, you're in the tropics. What do you expect?
How did you not get to go on that work trip?
Yeah, only 3 weeks notice, and I would have been put to work anyway. I don't want to work. I want to go for play, and she's barely getting any chance to do anything besides work. So more power to her. She's going to come back all suntanned and complaining that it's too cold.
One of those is a win for you.
Oh yeah. And finally, we got a little bit of an update on Scottie Scheffler. Maybe not ready for Pebble Beach like he had hoped. He also divulged that he cut himself on Christmas Day making ravioli, which I'm not sure there's many knives involved in making raviolis. Usually using a pasta press, and the filling is usually not anything you'd need a knife for, and then you're crimping them with a fork or a pasta roller. So how in the world did Scottie Scheffler gouge his hand open with making ravioli? I don't understand.
Some people were born to be golfers. Some people were born to be cooks. I guess we'll stick with golf, Scottie.
I'm closer to the cook side. My golf game is not that great.
I don't know. When I heard that, I was like, how in the actual did you cut your hand making
It's
ravioli?
the softest food that does not require. You could literally snort a ravioli and be safe because it's so soft.
And like, what kind of knife were you using that you injured yourself this badly making ravioli?
I just want to know. I'm curious, but he was shooting for a Pebble Beach return, and that might not happen. Pebble Beach being next week, I would guess that he's probably going to make his debut sometime after that, just to be safe. Maybe we'll get him at Torrey Pines for the Genesis. And that was also in the news that because Riviera Country Club is in the Pacific Palisades, obviously with the big fires in SoCal, they could not hold the tournament, the Genesis Invitational at Riviera, so they moved it to Torrey Pines, and it will be on the South Course for all 4 rounds. And hopefully they spruce it up a little bit, because I think it'll be a little less challenging this week for the farmers. With that, let's transition to the Caddy Notes segment where we're going to talk about Torrey Pines in La Jolla. That's
Bo is going to talk about it tonight, so you are going to get that very poetic breakdown of the
big shoes to fill.
You always promise it, so now it's on you.
Big shoes to fill. You can nod or shake your head in the background as I'm doing it, like Todd McShay and Glenn Kuiper for the Mel Kiper and Todd McShay. Not Matt. Todd. All right, let's hit it. All right, Torrey Pines. There's a North Course and there's a South Course, and there's an all-around course, I'm sure. The North Course will be played with one round, either Thursday or Friday round will be played on the North Course for every golfer, and there's still a 36-hole cut after you play one round on the South and one round on the North. Top 65 and ties. This is an open tournament, so it's full field, 156 bodies, I believe. Big, strong field. A couple dropouts just from health reasons. Xander Schauffele out. A couple others just not healthy enough for it, or their houses were they're displaced by the Pacific Palisades fire. So some of the top guys are out of this field, but most of them are still in. It's a really strong overall top to bottom field. The North Course is the easier of the two courses. It's a lot less prominent in the world of golf than the legendary South Course. It's also 500 yards shorter on the card. They're both par 72, but the North Course measures out to about 7,200 and change. It varies based on where they put the tee boxes. Both courses, Kikuyu fairways and roughs, overseeded with rye, and Poana greens, nice and bumpy in the afternoon. You better bring your imagination because the Poana gets nice and crusty in the afternoon, especially if it's going to be a little warmer. We're expecting some mild weather over the week, pretty mild for San Diego type area. And even on Sunday, we're talking highs in the 50s with a little bit more of a brisk breeze coming off the coast. That might make it interesting for your Saturday final round. Man, I'm already twisted up. The final round on Saturday is expecting a milder temperatures with a threat of higher winds. That's going to be on the South Course, of course, 7,700 plus. They can stretch that thing almost to 7,900 yards from the tips. Big property. Pretty tough fairways to hit. Kikuyu rough is nasty. It doesn't have to be long. It can snarl you, twist your club face, and it's long enough to where you're going to be hitting about 1/3 of the approach shots from 200 plus yards. And with small Poana greens that run pretty quick, it's going to be hard to hold those, especially if you miss the fairway. The 3 rounds on the South Course are going to be a bear. That's why this tournament typically sees a winning score between 10 and 15 under par. The cut will probably be 1-2 over par by what, Thursday cut. Weird. It's so weird. Wednesday through Saturday. They just don't want to compete with Championship Sunday. It makes sense. But Connor, how am I doing so far?
No, I think you nailed it pretty well. The things that I always think about with Torrey is, one, it's long as it sits, but it plays exceedingly longer than I think it even the yardage would indicate. And the fairways, you don't have much encroachment from trees and canyons and all that stuff. They're there, but they really keep these guys pretty narrow. So that Kikuyu rough that you were talking about, I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's when you end up in it. Very, very easy to catch flyers out of it. Scrambling is definitely at a premium this week. And you guys that are familiar with how to scramble from Kikuyu, especially from distance, definitely have an advantage here. And then, the greens, like you said, they're tricky. They're very fast. The POA is no joke to begin with. They're smaller, and then you got a fairly decent amount of bunkers well placed throughout this place. You got about 55 on the south course. You got 62 on the north course, and I mean they're very strategic. I mean this is a very difficult course. I mean it's not the toughest they're going to see all year, but it's definitely up there. So yeah, I mean there's a lot of trouble to be found. So scrambling and some of the around the green metrics, the up and down play that we talk about, usually around more major time, those are applicable stats here for sure.
Yeah, and Torrey Pines is a classic. It's on the U.S. Open Rota. It's been on the PGA Championship Rota. It's a big boy golf course, especially from the tips. You don't see a lot of rollout on Kukia fairways either. And the overseeded with rye just means they're lush and green and beautiful year round. The problem is it doesn't roll like Bermuda or bent grass. Like he landed in the fairway, it's not going to roll out a bunch of yards like you see on some of these other coastal courses. Very little elevation change, thankfully, even though the scenic cliffs of La Jolla are gorgeous. The course is mostly flat. The problem is if you don't find these fairways, I'm focusing on strokes gained off the tee primarily, which kind of goes hand in hand with driving distance, which is an advantage on the south course. At the end of the day, that one round on the north course is where you have to make hay. The past 5 champions here have no 69 on the north course on their one round there. If you don't go low on the north course, you pretty much have no chance to win this tournament because the south course isn't going to give you many scoring opportunities.
Well, and yeah, that north course piece. I mean, I think it's like a 2 or 3 stroke differential.
It was three shots different last year. Traditionally 2.
So, and you can't make that up on the south. And so, yeah, you really got to play well on that north. If nothing else, you just can't lose pace on the north. You don't necessarily have to go out and set a course record, but you definitely
it helps.
It would help for sure. But yeah, you don't give anything back on the north.
Yeah, the south is where you keep your chin above water. All right, so long hitters preferred but not required if your short game is nails. We've seen some shorter hitters win here, but they had to be pretty much locked in on the approach game and the short game. And making putts on POA is tough. Like I ended up putting a POA filter on my model because it's just different. Like you get a whole different group of golfers who can putt well on bent and Bermuda versus those who can actually read and accept the inconsistency of POA greens, especially if you're in the afternoon round. It's a crapshoot. That's what I'm building on is mostly your tee to green stats, off the tee stats, proximity at 200 plus, and scrambling, like you said. But the filtering for putting, recent putting, or on POA greens, that's huge for this course because the POA specialists are going to show up on the top of the leaderboard every year at the Farmers. It's like clockwork. You get the same guys that play well on these surfaces and especially on these longer courses that don't give away strokes like we've seen the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, the hardest part about that POA stat is that you've got guys that don't have the amount of rounds to measure it correctly.
True.
So, I mean, Aberg is a guy that stands out that just doesn't have a lot of measurable rounds on POA. So
yeah, he had 11.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tell you, when I ran it, there were probably upwards of 50 players that didn't have any measure rounds on POA. So
yeah, there's only a handful of courses on tour that use that green surface. Another one's coming up soon, Pebble Beach.
Yeah. So the reason I brought it up though is some of these guys, like your Luke Clantons of the world, things like that.
You're not going to know.
That you're not going to know. You're going to have to, if you care to do it, you're going to have to go and look at some of their collegiate stuff and try and glean from there what you will. But so to Bo's point, I did do a heavy emphasis on POA. On one of my models, I also ran a secondary model where I took POA off just to get a feel for who the strong putters are. Strong putters are strong putters everywhere.
That's true
for the most part. And so there's a little bit of that on my secondary model this week. But Bo's point, if you're only running one or you're just trying to really have a concentrated shotgun blast, I would definitely weigh POA heavy in a model.
Yep. All right. What do you say we bet on some golf, Connor?
I would love that.
All right, let's twirl the clubs, show the people are swinging in case they forgot from last week.
Mine's still the best.
It's definitely something. All right. Got yourself DraftKings Sportsbook. That's where we're pulling our odds. I just checked it not too long ago. It hasn't changed much since this morning, thankfully. There hasn't been a whole lot of updates there. See, I did the thing with the club twirls there. It's highlighted now. Look at that. I did it.
Well, and to boot, like I had to use a different computer tonight because another one is so slow that last week I looked like I was buffering at all times. Yeah. So
you were on potato quality. You felt like potato quality.
Yeah, so now Bo's gonna fly solo on the production side too because my access doesn't work from this new computer. It's going.
We are all 6s and 7s.
Jesus Christ! I'll tell you what, 0 for 2 on the season, Bo. We're just doing really well.
I mean, you can speak for yourself. I've been doing awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean you're always doing awesome. Let's be honest.
All right, let's go pull up the odds here. DraftKings Sportsbook. Lo and behold, the favorite this week, the outright betting favorite, is Ludvig Aberg at plus 900. I love Ludvig Aberg. I love his game. And last time he was here in his debut, didn't seem to stress out too much, made a top 10 finish in his Torrey Pines debut. This kid is just special. Ludvig Aberg opened at 10-1. He's fallen to 9-1 because he's really popular. He shows up number one in everybody's model, including Conor and I, both looking at the very top where your betting favorite is also your favorite in the stats. No matter how I did it, he was top 5 in my model at all different directions. The kid is special. He's going to get his first PGA Tour win this season, no doubt. And it might just be here plus 900. I think I'll take that. That's a straight up pretty smart bet. And I don't mind doing a top 5 kicker. I think you're also going to be laddering up to top 10, top 5, and an outright bet. Wouldn't that be a nice little trifecta, Conor?
Yeah, with Aberg, I think the thing about him is he's just he's too good. I mean, he's just
so good.
And he's course proof. Every single time we've tried to like poke a hole in his game, and he doesn't line up well here. We're eating our words by Sunday. So
remember when we said that about Augusta National and he almost won the damn thing in his Masters debut? And that's a typical like this is horses for courses. Torrey Pines has its horses for courses here. There are the same guys that played here for a decade or more that are always in contention here. And we didn't know about Ludvig Aberg last year at Torrey Pines or Augusta National. And he comes out top 10, top 5, ho-hum. I'm in my early 20s, devilishly good looking, perfect swing out of a laboratory. He is flawless, and he's still young enough to where we might just be seeing a storm of winning coming from him this season. I want to be there for that because we've been talking about this guy for 2 years now.
Yeah, and with him, he's leaning into the fame. He's leaning into the high pressure. He's got the it factor. And not that you can gather anything from like TGL or anything, right? But even watching him like be the guy on TGL, I mean, he's just got this swagger, that's like this built-in confidence, and he's just unfazed by anything. So anytime that he's, anytime he's teeing it up, he's probably going to find his way to my card. I mean, it's like you just said, Bo, he's going to win. He's going to win a lot. And
and he's a good person too.
Like, he just seems like a great guy.
Like, it's so easy to root for. It's like, why would we spend any more time other than just talking about Ludvig Aberg because we think he's going to win?
Maybe he'll come on the show. He's such a nice guy. Maybe he'll have pity on us and come hang out with us.
We were one of the first shows to even pronounce his name right.
That's correct. That's true. Yeah.
And we did
a whole segment about
deep dive research on like Texas Tech stuff where he was doing like university interviews with the journalism club where he pronounced his name correctly. I knew I went back to that to figure out, okay, how does he say his name?
I got a guy later. That I butchered last week that we will learn how to pronounce his name this week.
Yeah. I'm also interested as the second outright favorite, Hideki Matsuyama. Anytime you have a ball strikers course like Torrey Pines that's long, it demands good long iron play. The one guy that pops into my mind immediately is Hideki Matsuyama, and the dude is unflappable, a lot like Ludvig Aberg, and he's playing out of his mind the last year and a half. This guy's stone cold. So if you're feeling like Ludvig Aberg is a little bit too short at plus 900, I don't have any qualms about betting Hideki at 11 to 1. That's just a natural progression. It's like, oh, the rookie hasn't won anything yet. He's not even giving me 10 to 1 payout. What you should bet Hideki at 11 to 1 if you're not entirely sure that you want to bet Ludvig as the outright favorite.
Yeah, and if you do have to make a choice between the two, the only thing I would say maybe as a dig on Hideki is Hideki's picking up a lot of strokes with the putter right now.
Yeah.
And if that regresses at all, which it could on POA.
Yeah. He's so hot right now.
I mean, literally, if you look at his putting stats, I mean, he's typically been an okay putter over the last probably 12 months.
When he's on, he's really on. And when he's off, he's really off.
And if you look at the Century, I mean, he gained 5.5, and then you look at the Sony Open, he gained 3.5. And those are high numbers for Hideki. So it's just something it's if you need a tiebreaker, I would probably lean Aberg in this situation. But in transparency, and I think Bo's in the same boat, I am betting both of them. I just don't know how invested I'm going to get on Hideki.
The top of our cards look really similar. Our next one is, I think I got a better number because I tackled it last week as a kind of a look ahead. Will Zalatoris has been really impressive this season. He's starting to figure out the putter. He's always been an amazing ball striker. Will Zalatoris, Willie Z, is on both of our cards this week. I got him at 28 to 1. I'm still happy betting him at 22 to 1 where he sits right now. Those are both great numbers. And Willie Z is a horse for this course. He is always in the top 10 at Torrey Pines. He's a SoCal kid. He's from Texas, but he looks like a SoCal kid. And he just plays well here every year. Even the only time he missed the cut here was when he was literally dealing with back surgery. He was about to go off and get his back surgery done. That was the only time he's ever missed the cut at Torrey Pines. So why wouldn't
that? But I mean, he plays well here. T7, a second, and a T13.
Yeah,
when he's been healthy. So I mean,
and the second was heartbreaking because he should have won.
Yeah, so definitely a horse for the course.
Yes. So though we're in agreement there, I really don't have anybody until I get down to some of the longer shots outside of Aberg and Will Zalatoris. Do you have anybody kind of in that mid-range that you want to bet on?
So the other guy at 22 that I'm taking a look at, and I have apprehension about this guy, but Tony Finau. So Tony Finau, when you look at difficult courses and POA specifically, Tony Finau catapults to the top of this model.
He's number 2 in mine and number 3 in yours. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is every time you talk about Tony Finau, this dude implodes, and every time you don't talk about him, he wins. Tony Finau is another guy who plays well at Torrey Pines every single year.
Every time.
Yeah. And even though he's 134th putting on POA, it doesn't seem to matter because at Torrey Pines, he does everything else really well, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, 2 T6s, a T9, and a T2 over the last. I mean, he does have a missed cut, but I mean, he's another guy, horse for the course, and I'll probably pull the trigger by the time we're done with this show. 22 is a pretty good number on
it is, Tony. Especially for a guy who hasn't finished outside of the top 10 here, like ever. So he and Willie Z are the same odds. They're 1 and 2 in my model. They're the same guy at this tournament. So yeah, I would bet both of them. I'm going to start with Willie Z because I got him at 28, and that was just too good to pass up. But yeah, Tony at 22 is fantastic. He's top 5 in every ball striking metric that there is.
Yeah, and I don't have a crazy big card this week, so Tony's 90% going to end up on mine. I'm trying to figure out how, if I want to go with the T5 and the T10 too with him, just based on tournament history. Like, he hasn't won, but he's always been right there in the top 10. So I think there's some opportunity if you've got the bankroll to diversify with Tony a little bit.
Smart. All right, I think you got one more kind of in the mid range before you drop down.
Yeah, and I'm not terribly in love with this, but it's a FOMO bet, I think, with Max Grieserman at plus 2,500. Just playing good golf. I mean, it's seemingly every week we're hearing about him. And I mean, you look at the run he's on. I mean, he hasn't missed a cut since May of last year.
He's good. He's good.
And I don't think he's finished outside of the top 30 in that stretch either. There's a 33rd in there, and coming off a 7th at the American Express, absolutely crushed it on approach.
Still pissed about that, though. Can I tell you a story?
Do you have a top 5 on him?
Well, that, and I had a top 10 on him, which cashed. The problem was with Grieserman, I used him as my one and done pick, and he came to the 72nd hole in a solo 5th. So I was set. All he had to do was make a damn par, and he had a solo 5th and cashed both of my bets. He goes and double bogeys it and cost me like $150,000 in my one and done, and also didn't cash the top 5. So what the hell, Max?
So Max is on the island with Tom Hoagie for a week or two, or what?
No, I still like him. I don't know if I want to bet him this week because it's a whole different ball game from La Quinta. But he's good. He's solid. He's never going to be. I don't think he'll miss the cut here, but I just don't know if he'll climb this leaderboard as easily. What do you think about Luke Clanton? I'd love the talent, but it's like this is another guy that we haven't seen at Torrey Pines. So it's a little bit iffy for me.
I'm doing it, and it's short odds, but I'm going to stick to my word. If he's teeing it up, I'm betting him. I think the raw game is
so brave,
just so good, though. I mean,
oh yeah,
even
he's got so much talent.
Even when he plays badly, he bounces back immediately, and so like, yeah, I'm going to go back to it. I wouldn't. It's one of those bets. I'm going to bet it, but it's a very short number for an unproven guy with not a whole lot of track record statistically to back it. So it's more of a gut play, more of an eye test. I think that he's one of those young guns. It's going to be like Oberg, though, where it's just like every single time he plays, he's going to be top 10, top 5. He's that good. And so I think in this field, if he comes out and he brings a pretty consistent game, which he's fully capable of, especially some of the off the tee stuff that he's put together in the last 3-4 months, the putter's been up and down, but if he comes with a flat putter, like we talk about with a lot of guys, that's really all it takes for Luke Clanton to be in the top 10. The rest of the game is very, very, very solid. So
trying to find him in my alternate model because he obviously doesn't pop up when I filter for Poana, but I went to my other model was difficult scoring conditions at 7,400 plus yards, so longer courses, tougher conditions, and a lot of guys have actual rounds to grade here. Where is he?
Yeah, I'm switching my screen right now. I'll tell you what he's on in that one for me. Yeah, he's fourth. He's fourth in that one.
Yeah, 57th in my other one. So I and that's again on limited rounds. And so like you said, it's a pure FOMO bet. You don't want to miss out when this kid pops again. So yeah, I get it. Like you can't always count on the stats when somebody's not going to pop up in the stats because he just doesn't have enough rounds to get to climb it.
And when you do take the POA off, just briefly, I mean, number 9 in approach over the last 36, number 5 in overall tee to green. He hits greens and regulations at an insane clip. I mean, he's a very accurate player. Fairways gained, he's 10th in the field. So I'm looking at the accuracy proposition with him. And just assuming again, if he has just a average flat strokes gain on with the putter this week, I mean, he's right there in the mix.
All right. And I'm going to bet on Gary Woodland, friend of the show. Outstanding, making a big comeback from brain surgery. Last year, it's kind of his breaking back into the flow of the tour schedule. This dude's been playing really well through the fall, and this is another horse for the course. Longer courses that require long approaches. Well, Gary Woodland's as good as it gets. He's at 90-1, and I don't know why, but I feel like I can't miss on betting on a guy I really root for. You have another guy that's in that a little bit shorter range, but another guy who's absolutely nails with long irons. Tell me about Justin Rose. What's your feeling about Justin Rose?
I think Justin Rose has been kind of probably the last 6-8 months starting around into some of the better golf that he's played in a long time. And I'm just looking at, performance here, not crazy great, but he's got experience with the course. I think the best finish he's had in recent history was a T6 in 2022. So nothing crazy, but he's playing good golf. I think one of the things that I noticed too, again, this is some of the TGL swagger, which you can decide whether you want to read into it or not. But watching some of the club analytics, watching him hit the big screen, watching him putt, like everything was just dialed. I mean, he was so nails. Everything he looked at was solid. And those are like, again, different environment, different golf game. But you can't fake a solid golf swing. You can't fake a solid putt. And he just looked better than I've seen him look in a long time, playing with very high level of confidence. So I like the overall, a little older guy, a little more experienced, especially at a long number like that, 70-1. I think he should be a lot shorter than he is.
And I thought it was interesting in the RTG DFS contest last week. We had dueling dark horses in our lineups. Yours is back on your card this week. Frankie, is it Capon or Capon?
It's Frankie Sapin.
Sapin. Hey, see?
Minnesota boy.
Born man.
I did my research on him after I
Frankie Sapin, and I had Chris Ventura, who's a Norwegian, who went to Oklahoma State, just like his fellow Norwegian did, Victor Hovland. So it was fun to bet on Chris Ventura. He did really well. And Frankie Sapin did really well too last week, and he's back on your card 110-1. I think that's a little short, but at those odds, who cares? You're gonna throw a couple bucks behind him. I was getting the same odds on defending champion Mathieu Pavon, who is a Poana specialist. He's done really well on SoCal courses, and as good of a grinder as there is on tour for those West Coast tournaments. Great long iron player. Decent scrambler. There's no wonder why Pavone won last year. He just fits the course. And 110-1 for the defending champion of an event when a lot of the top guys are out of this field, absolutely disrespectful. So I see your Frankie Sapin, and I raise you Mathieu Pavone, the defending champion, for the same exact outright odds. There's something wrong with that.
I think it's just that Frankie Sapin isn't well known. I mean, to be honest,
he's also not French. The French disrespect.
French.
Oui, non, mais non.
No, I mean, he's so with my guy here. A couple of things with him. He was the 41st overall world amateur, or he was 41st in the world amateur rankings. He had a very, very solid collegiate career if you go and look at it. But he is a absolutely ridiculous putter. Like, I know last week I said,
I saw that. We comped him to Taylor Montgomery, and he's not as bad ball striking as Taylor Montgomery, but he's every bit the putter.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he's so good at putting that if we get a few more starts out of him this year, I mean, this is a guy that could be vying to be the best putter on tour. Mm-hmm. And the other thing too, when you look at the player profile for Frankie, he's what this course kind of demands. So he's about an average approach player. He's about an average off the tee guy. Accuracy is around 60-70% respectfully on both those metrics. So nothing crazy. But what he does incredibly well is he rates out super high for scrambling and recovery.
Because he makes all the putts.
Rates out super well for around the green game because he makes all the putts. So if he gets himself within the vicinity of the green, he is going to save par or better most of the time. And in a more of a grind atmosphere like this will be, that's what you need is guys that can grind out pars and aren't.
Why do you think Tiger Woods won here so many damn times?
This kid is alive here. I'm telling you, like this is a good fit for him. And I think that's why you think it's short odds. I think
it could be very appropriate. I thought it was interesting that the defending champion of the event had the same odds as your quote unquote dark horse that has the money putter.
Do you think Pavone though? I mean, yeah, okay, he won, sure.
It wasn't fluky though. That dude was nails last year.
But he had a really good stretch followed by like a what the hell happened?
Yeah, he fell off the map.
And so like
it's because he did well in Poana and he can't putt for shit on bent grass or Bermuda. He needs the greens to be super bumpy and crusty. That's all.
Yeah, he needs the ping pong effect.
Yeah,
or the pinball effect, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate Pavone either. I'm definitely not saying that. I just I think Pavone is more of a fluky situation. This is the type of player this guy is. So this is the right course. And we talk about
smelling a beer bet.
Horses for courses. This guy is a horse for this course. I'm telling you that right now.
All right.
Yes, and I will take the beer bet.
All right. Pavone versus Sapin. That's a very interesting first beer bet of the season.
Write it down.
Write it down. All right, and I got one more. I've done dumber shit with a couple dollars than betting a horse for the course who's done really well in SoCal tournaments. Ryan Palmer's at 400-1. This guy's got 3 top 10s at this event alone. What the hell is going on? Ryan Palmer's been playing well the last 2 years. Why is he so deep in this field?
Because it's Ryan Palmer.
Yeah, he's not that great. But 400-1 is still way, way deeper than I expected to see him. And what I do with those bets is you throw a buck or two on the outright, but the top 20, the top 40, you're all getting favorable odds on a guy who, again, has finished in the top 10 of this tournament 3 times. There might be something to that.
No, I actually don't hate your take, and he actually rated out pretty well for me on both models. So I think that's absolutely a valid. I've done dumber shit with $5. I mean that's not the worst thing you could do. You know what was interesting?
A lot of cups of coffee with that win.
I'll take a couple cups of coffee. Yeah, I don't have anything that deep, but something that was interesting, and God, it makes me kind of cringe a little to say it, but it does make some sense. Is Zach Johnson's at 350-1, and hear me out, and he probably did the same in yours. When you plug in difficult and you plug in POA, he catapults up quite a bit, and it's Zach Johnson. I mean, Zach Johnson can play this grindy golf. He has one on tour. Like this is
here's what I think about that though, is if you filter by difficult Poana, it's just pulling from Torrey Pines and Riviera.
But then if you back off the difficult and Poana, right? Back it off and just run a regular model. The things that he continues to do well, he is number 6 in the field for scrambling. He's number 5 in the field for fairway gained accuracy, and he's 22nd in the field for overall putting. So like I'm just saying I'm not going to be heavily invested, but he popped up pretty damn good, and 350 seems awfully long. I mean, he makes some sense here.
I just don't like the guy. I'm not betting a single dime on Zach Johnson.
I don't like him either. It's kind of like Matt Kuchar. I hate Matt Kuchar. I won't bet on him.
I'd rather bet Matt Kuchar than Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson's a turd.
They are. It's 350-1. I can overlook him being a turd.
Yeah, at least I can look at Ryan Palmer and not get angry, irrationally angry. I look at Zach Johnson and it makes me just steam.
Good Lord!
I
forget that that's a trigger for you.
I hate Zach Johnson. I mean, I'm sure he's fine. He's a decent human, but like every time I watch him play golf, it's just infuriating because he's such a dickwad on the course.
I don't like the guy, just to be clear.
I'm mad that you're betting on him or you're thinking about betting him. Even for put 10 cents on him, I'm still going to be mad at you for it.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I almost sent it over to you on my original model workup. I was like, am I really about to send Zach Johnson?
It just has that Jägermeister reflex from college. I just can't stand it. Are we gonna do Pebble Beach next week? Or are you gonna be still dying of flu?
So next week I'm traveling. So next week it will be Jake Perry.
Yeah,
I believe.
Oh, but we'll have to do the shout out NorCal for Pebble Beach without you.
I'll keep you posted though, because I told you with the weather changing,
you never
so
know.
my flights may change. I will let you know. Hey, do you know what I brought this week?
The hat.
I did.
You want to answer Steve before we get into it?
Oh, J-Day.
It's interesting, right? I don't hate J-Day. I just don't know if I want to bet on him. Actually, if I filter for long courses, Poana, he is number 5.
Yeah, and he pops up in mine too. I
don't hate it. 25 to 1's a little short for him, but it's in that range where I'm okay with it.
I think that's why I kind of skipped over him. I'm like 25. I was like, I think I just felt like it was too short.
He looked really good last week too, though. Like you gotta give. I mean, if you like J-Day, 25 to 1's not egregious. I think I'd rather bet Willie Z in the same range, but I mean there's nothing wrong with betting J-Day this week.
No, I think it's decent. I think, to your point, I think the bets we called out.
What is he talking about?
Oh, he's talking about that's fucking clever. That's really clever. He's talking about fucking Scottie.
Yeah. That makes more sense now. That he wasn't he was heating up raviolis and he cut himself on the lid. That makes way more sense. Those tasteless Texans aren't making real raviolis. Their raviolis are in a can. That makes sense.
Man, I wish we had seen that comment when we were in that segment. We could have.
Oh, that was so good, so good.
Maybe Seth can splice some things together. And
yeah, yeah. We don't look great. We just look decent. Seth thinks he can hit his 7-iron from 170. I mean, maybe if you bladed it.
Yeah, Seth, I have name a figure, and I will bet I will go to the ATM
right now.
No fucking shot.
I mean, 170 for my 7-iron would be a punch 7, and I'd want to shape it. But I played a lot of golf.
Yeah, I was gonna say my 7's 178 ish.
Mine's 183, I think.
Yeah, that's
I would pay to see Seth try to hit a 7-iron 170.
No,
maybe if he landed on the cart path.
yeah, hitting it down a road in Tin Cup, maybe. He hit the 7-iron down the damn road.
It's the only club he had in the bag.
It's still going.
He broke all the other clubs.
Yeah, the man needs a ride home.
All right. Well, we'll see if we get you with Pebble Beach next week. Either way, we're going to be shouting out NorCal. We got the hat pick. I got my model up. Hat.
The hat has selected number 13. Lucky number 13. Lucky number 13.
Oh, no.
I can't wait to hear it. I'm trying to get mine back up.
Oh, no.
I don't hate mine.
I don't hate mine, but I don't want to do it.
Mine is Shane Lowry.
That's a great one. I wish my 13th was Shane Lowry. I would much rather play Shane Lowry than Jonathan Vegas.
Ooh.
Woof. From tee to green, I'm not worried about him at all. It's just when he gets there. And we've caused a coughing fit to end the show. Yeah, Johnny Vegas, number 2 in strokes gained off the tee, number 4 in driving distance. He's a bomber. He hits the turds out of the ball. 7th in tee to green overall, 31st in proximity. Well, number 1 strokes gained on approach in my model. Unfortunately, 133rd putting, 140th scrambling. That's not good for this course.
Dude, I might tail the hat here.
Shane Lowry, that's a spectacular hat pick.
Damn you, hat.
That's a great hat pick.
Making us look like a bunch of amateurs here.
My first hat pick sucks.
Yeah, the Johnny
watch Johnny Vegas just get absolutely on fire like he sometimes does and win this thing. He's at 65-1, by the way.
If Johnny Vegas wins this thing, dude, I straight up am not showing up ever again. I'm just gonna put the hat on a hat rack.
It's done.
Yeah, I'm
Johnny Vegas. A Johnny Vegas win would retire the hat. Sorry, Tim.
A Johnny Vegas win will retire. Shane Lowry is number 2 in my POA model. Yeah, so Shane
Lowry was in the top 10 of mine. No matter what I did, he was 30-1. I think that's not bad.
Oh, let's go hat. Let's go hat.
Well, that might be the best hat pick ever. And it was not even the top 10. 13's not top 10 either. But yeah, that's outstanding.
Yeah, the fuck, way to go, hat.
Lucky number 13. Let's go.
Oh, it's oh, yep. Well, tune in next week. Actually, yeah. I will let you know. I may actually be able to do it. And my wife was just texting me with the flight changes, so I may be flying back Monday instead of Tuesday.
Yeah, the only requirement is next week you must shout out NorCal because that's where the tournament is.
Well, and I think that's the week where maybe, I know you're not drinking, but maybe I'll bring a bottle and just see how many shots I do by the end of the show. Ooh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of NorCal. Yeah, tune in next week if you love NorCal. You're going to hear all about it.
That might be our biggest viewership of all time because everybody loves NorCal. Yeah. It's the birthplace of goats. Of course.
I don't think